Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Krishna Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Sorry. Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Obtain the mercy of Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prajik Vrajakacharya Stotra Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON founder Acharya BBT founder Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prarivrajacharya Stotra Sata Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Chicago Ki Jai. The most personable deities on the face of the earth, the beautiful Shri Shri Kishore Kishori Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Shri Balaram Lady Subhadra Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class, live from Chicago, those watching on the internet. Some of my students from the days in New Dwarka are watching. Welcome to Chicago, where it's hot and muggy today. India has come to Chicago. I saved money and didn't have to go to India this year. India came to me. Haribo. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and under Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous, when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to this pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. We're on Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 29th chapter. Texts 36 and 37, they run together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Fourth Canto, 29th chapter, texts 36 and 37, talks between Narada and King Parchanbari. Atatmano ritya bhuttasya. Atmano ritya bhuttasya. Yato narata parampara. Yato natara paramapara. Samshristi tad vyavachedo. Bhaktya paramaya goro. Vasudeve Bhagavati. Bhakti Yoga Samahitya. Sadrichenya Varagyam. Janam cha jana yistyati. This morning we'll just repeat back the first part of text 36. So we'll begin here. Ata mano ri bhuttasya yato narat parampara samsristya tad vivyachedo bhakti paramaya goro. Prabhus? Atatmano ritya bhutasya. Yato narat parampara. Samsristas tad vyavachedo. Bhaktya paramaya guru. Mataji? Oh. Yasya. Parampara Samsristad vyavachedo. Apradayam guru. Mataji. Atatmano ritya bhuttasya. Tonara parampara. Sati Prateto Anyone else? Atta, therefore. Atmana, of the living entity. Arta bhuttasya, having his real interest. Yata, from which. Anarta, of all unwanted things. Parampara, a series one after another. Samstriti, material existence. Tat, of that. Vyachvach eda, stopping. Bhaktya, by devotional service. Paramaya, unalloyed. Garo, unto the Supreme Lord or his representative. Vasudeve, Vasudev. Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. Samahitya, applied. Sadri Chinyanya, completely. Vairagyam, detachment. Jananam, full knowledge. Cha, and. Janayisyati, will cause to become manifest. Repeat on the translation. The real interest of the living entity is to get out of the nescience that causes him to endure repeated birth and death. The only remedy is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his representative. Unless one renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev, one cannot possibly become completely detached from this material world, nor can he possibly manifest real knowledge. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai. This is the way to become detached from the artificial material condition. The only remedy is to take to Krishna consciousness and constantly engage in the devotional service of Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is trying to be happy, and the process adopted to achieve that happiness is called self-interest. Unfortunately, the conditioned soul hovering within this material world does not know that his ultimate goal of self-interest is Vasudeva. Samsriti, or material existence, begins with the illusioned bodily conception of life, and on the basis of this conception, there ensues a series of unwanted things, anartas. These unwanted things are actually mental desires for various types of sense gratification. In this way, one accepts different types of bodies within this material world. One first has to control the mind so that the desires of the mind can be purified. This process is described in the Narada Pancharatra as Sarvopadhi Vini Muktyam Tat Parat Tat Vena Nir Malam. Unless one purifies his mind, there is no question of getting free from the material condition. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 7th chapter, 6th verse, Anattato pasatmam sakshad bhakti yogam adhok saje loka siya janto vidyams chakres satvata samhityam. Translation: the material desires of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth. End of translation. Anarthas, unwanted things, come down from one bodily life to another. To get out of this entanglement, one has to take to the devotional service of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word guru is significant in this connection. The word guru may be translated as heavy or the supreme. In other words, the guru is the spiritual master. Srila Rishi Bhavdev advised his son, Guru na sasyat na mochayad ya samupitya mrityam. Translation: one should not take up the post of spiritual master unless he is able to lead his disciple from the cycle of birth and death. From the Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, 18th verse. Material existence is actually a chain of action and reaction brought about by different types of fruitive activities. This is the cause of birth and death. One can stop this process only by engaging oneself in the service of Vasudeva. Bhakti refers to those activities performed in the service of Lord Vasudeva. Because Lord Vasudeva is the Supreme, one should engage oneself in his service, not in the service of the demigods. Devotional service begins from the neophyte stage, the stage of observing the rules and regulations, and extends to the point of spontaneous loving service to the Lord. The purpose of all stages is to satisfy Lord Vyasadeva. When one is perfectly advanced in the devotional service of Vyasadeva, one becomes completely detached from the service of the body, that is, his designated position in material existence. After becoming so detached, one becomes actually perfect in knowledge and engages perfectly in the service of Lord Vasudeva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivara Svarupa Haya Krishnara Nitya Das. Every living entity is by constitutional position an eternal servant of Krishna. As soon as one engages in the service of Lord Vasudeva, he attains his normal constitutional position. This position is called the liberated stage. Muktir hitvanyatya rupam svarupenya vyasstatitya. In the liberated stage, one is situated in his original Krishna conscious position. He gives up all engagements in the service of matter, engagements concocted under the names of social service, national service, community service, dog service, automobile service, and so many other services conducted under the illusion of I and mine. As explained in the second chapter of the first canto, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jananam Chayad Ahetukyam. Translation: by rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. End of translation. That's from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, seventh text. Thus, one must engage in the service of Vasudeva without material desire, material concoction, or fruitive activity. Again, today's verse, translation: the real interest of the living entity is to get out of the nescience that causes him to endure repeated birth and death. The only remedy is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his representative. Unless one renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, one cannot possibly become completely detached from this material world, nor can he possibly manifest real knowledge. Om Ajana Timirandasya Jananandana Salakyaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmi Shri Gurev Nama Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutere Hridaya Nanda Goswami Iti Namane Namaste Guru Hamsaya Paramandana Badase Prabhupada Prabhadoya Dusta Siddhanta Nasane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutere Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirisheshya Sunyavadi Prastyatya Deshya Tarane. Well, Narana Mudi has certainly given us something to think about today in this verse. And Prabhupada has given us even more to think about in the purport. At the end, Prabhupada says he gives up all engagements. Once one becomes involved in devotional service, he gives up all engagements that are conducted under the illusion of I and mine. There was a song a number of years ago by the Beatles, written by George Harrison. It was called I, Me, Mine, and how we have to release ourselves from these attachments. My family, my country, my city, my friends. Mine, 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 mine. Me, 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 me. No, it's not all about me. It's all about service to Krishna. And how does one serve Krishna? Through the bona fide spiritual master. The Bhagavad Gita tells us how to approach a spiritual master. Submissively, and ask questions. Render service. These things are very easy to do, but yet so many people will not do them. As I've said before, Ask somebody to pull the Lord's cart. What will they say? No, I can't do that. But here, let me walk on a leash with Mr. Dog and pick up the stool in the street. That I can do, but I cannot serve God. Dyslexic theology. They've got the letters right, it's just in the wrong combination. One cannot become completely detached from this material world unless one renders devotional service. What is devotional service? It can be anything from sweeping the floor to going out on Sankirtan, distributing books to the masses, to being a pujari, dressing the deity and taking care of the deity so very nicely as we see here in Chicago. And I might say thank you to the pujaris who have done such a great service all these years of keeping Kishore Kishori so beautiful. I give you my completely prostrated obeisances and dandavats. I worship the feet of those who work so closely and intimately with the deities. Those who are not Brahmin, this is a reason to become Brahmin, to get that intimate association of the Lord. There's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. It is when you step up onto the altar, you're not in the material world anymore. You are in Vaikuntha. You are there with the deity. The deity does not need your service, but the deity allows you to serve, because our whole life here in this material world is service. People are serving somebody every day. You're serving your boss. You're serving your family. You're serving your country. You're serving your city. You're serving your state. Everyone is serving something. And if you're not serving anyone, then you get a dog and a cat, and you serve that. The whole existence in this material world is service. Except we need to realize what kind of service will get us out of here. Devotional service, rendered by the spiritual master. I've said it before, I'll say it again. 4 regs, 16 rounds. How much easier does it have to be if I can do it? And those who are watching, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. It is not rocket science. Though if you are a rocket scientist, you can dovetail your service to Krishna. But let us never forget that we must submit to the spiritual master. In America, surrender is a very, very bad word. Americans don't surrender to anyone. America is so puffed up. Look what it's going through now because of this foolish state that we're in. We have an economy that is literally going down the drain every day. The lack of rain here in the Midwest has stunted the crops. What does that mean? On top of the bad economy, now we're going to have higher food prices. Krishna is trying to tell us something. Surrender. Surrender. It's not that hard. You will enjoy it. There is nothing more that I like than associating with devotees, no matter where I am throughout the United States. Devotees are an ocean of mercy. I get charged from them. This past almost 2 weeks now that I've been here, I have been so charged by each and every one of you that I've talked to that when I get ready to leave next Wednesday, I'm ready to come running out of the gate like a horse at a horse race. You see the gate that they have up, and those horses, they're ready. They're chomping on the bit. The bit, for those who don't know, is the little piece that goes right in their mouth that you can control the horse. I am chomping at the bit to get at Wisconsin, to establish something for Srila Prabhupada, hopefully in Milwaukee and in Madison, under the blessings of His Holiness Romapad Swami. I've been allowed to come back into this area after being up in Minnesota and Iowa last year, meeting with devotees and meeting with interested people who wanted to know more about who we are, what we're all about. I met with the mayor of my hometown and one of my friends who's now on the County Board of Supervisors. I asked them, where are the churches? Where are the churches feeding the poor? Where I'm from, the churches have giant kitchens, much bigger kitchens than what we have here. Where are they? They've put the churches have and synagogues have totally left the taking care of the poor to the government, and the government can't handle it anymore. It's become overwhelming. Where are the churches? Where are the synagogues? The temples, we're doing what we can. Therefore, I always request, if anybody knows how to write for federal grants, please contact me. For instance, the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, has in their purses $65 million to give away to feeding the poor. But you have to know how to write for those grants. Grants are, it's free money. It's money that does not have to be paid back. How much we could do in feeding the entire Midwest if we even got our hands on a portion of that $65 million. ISKCON Food for Life has cut down the figures. Here it is. 19 cents a meal here in the United States. Every second that passes, 5 plates of prasadam are distributed somewhere around the world. Oh, you don't see that on TV. You don't see the commercials for that. You see the other organizations putting up theirs, but we're out there in the field. We're actually doing it around the world, not just in certain countries, around the world. We are there. All we need is someone to come and assist us, and we could feed the entire world. Imagine, as I told my friends that were in government in Minnesota, imagine your constituency being totally hunger-free and getting nutritious meals. As a politician, when you say that to them, you can see the little wheels going around in their mind. Is this possible? We need to take shelter of one another, to get rid of this false ego, to just shed it away. The other day, I'm walking down the street, and a woman recognized me from the days when I played basketball. I thanked her so much, and then my ego, I could feel it. Wow, after 30-some years, somebody still remembers me? My ego was starting to grow a little bit, and I went, no, put that aside. That was gone. This is now. This is what I am now. I'm not that basketball player or that rock performer that people here in the Midwest remember from 30 years ago. I am a devotee. I am a Vaishnav. The Vaishnavs, I said, gentlemen and ladies, we are the keepers of knowledge since time immemorial. Krishna is there for us. All one has to do is ask the deity. Of course, remember, the deity will answer your prayers one of three ways: yes, no, and later. The deity knows what we need when we need it. We have to have total confidence. Look at that walk in faith. I say it again and again, that walk in faith that Srila Prabhupada had. Can you imagine, at 70 years old, traveling on a cargo ship? He wasn't on a luxury liner. He wasn't on the love boat, though he did bring us love. He wasn't on some fancy cruise ship coming over here. He's on a cargo ship, enduring some of the most terrible waves in the Atlantic that the captain had ever seen in his career. Prabhupada suffered from seasickness. Those who have never experienced it, let me tell you, being out on the ocean, no matter what size of boat or ship you're on, those waves can make you feel very, very small and insignificant. Can you imagine going up and down and up and down? And then not only suffering seasickness, but suffering not one, but 2 heart attacks. And still he came. He could have got on the next boat back to India and said, I'm out of here. But he was following the orders of his spiritual master. It took him 30-some years after the first instruction by Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati to Srila Prabhupada. It took him 30 years to act on it because he had to clear things out of his life. At that time, he was a married family man and a businessman. Krishna slowly removed all the obstacles that stood in Prabhupada's way so that Prabhupada could come here. What amazing walk in faith. Just thoroughly amazing. Can you imagine coming to a country, you've got 300 books you're dragging along with you, the clothes, basically what we have on here, dhoti, kurta, a shawl, some slippers, and a hat, a bag of cereal, and the equivalency of $8 American money. Who would go to another city in America, let alone halfway around the world, with so little? But yet he came with so much. Prabhupada arrived at the right time. Those who aren't old enough to remember the 60s, let me tell you something. They were something in this country. There was all kinds of revolution and all kinds of this, that, and the other thing. Unfortunately, some of the things that we marched in the streets about have now come back to haunt us. There was the free love movement. Oh, just have sex whenever you want. It's just love. Where'd that get us? AIDS, other diseases. Not so good when we look back upon it now. We were anti-war. Oh, no war, no war. And yet we gave up a country to godless communism. We sacrificed those people just to get out. It's come back to get us. Krishna says when there's ample rain, that means he's satisfied with the sacrifice. Attention, Midwest farmers. The reason why your crops are going to fail this year is because Krishna is not satisfied with the sacrifices that have been made here in the Midwest. The corn crop, which is the big economic money, is just about gone. I came across country on the train. As we got into Kansas, I could see how bad the corn looked from Kansas all the way into here, into Illinois. Illinois, corn is your big crop. Where's the money going to come from? Corn, our big crop out here in the Midwest. The ground cracked, severe cracks in it. I grew up here in the Midwest. I have never seen corn this poor in my life of 57 years. Never. We are headed for something. Krishna has something arranged for us. We have to be able to see what it is and how we can change it. How do we change it? We change it through sacrifice. Those who are watching class tonight, or today, in the Chicago area, Harinam is tonight. What time? 7 o'clock? We'll be gathering here at the temple and then leaving. There's no excuse. This is our sacrifice. We need rain in the Midwest, not this little showers that we get like last night, that the ground is just as dry, not even muddy. We need a good soaking rain, a few of them, to get this corn. Maybe we can save it. Maybe we can save the soybeans. I wrote to a friend of mine in Beijing, China, get ready. You're going to be paying more for your soy products in China because they get most of their soy from us. And where's that soy grown? Here in the Midwest. Our farmers have to learn. I met with dairy farmers last year in Wisconsin, telling them about ahimsa farming. Non-violence, no slaughtering on your farm at all of any animal. I said, old Bossy down in that barn, that's what, for those who aren't familiar with that term, that's what we call the cows, Bossy. She's bossy. She is a lot more intelligent than you think. She is so sensitive, she knows everything that's going on around the farm. And her milk production will show you that once you stop slaughtering on the farm, your milk production will increase. Right now is a good time to be in the milk market. They're making money hand over fist. But now with this corn shortage that'll be coming, how will they feed those cattle? It's going to be a tough road. But we as devotees are here. We have the answers. We are the keepers of knowledge. We are the Vaishnavas. We're not asking anyone to switch religions. We're not asking anything other than listen to the Word of God. Every religion that's out there, whether it be Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, can all be traced back historically. The Vedas, no one can trace the Vedas back. Oh, we can go back to when Vyasadeva wrote them because we had become so forgetful. In the old days, it used to be when the guru told you something, you remembered it word for word. Now in today's yuga, we kind of have to put a cork in one ear while it goes in the other so it can bounce around in our heads for a while. We must do sacrifice. We must do tapasya. These are the things that we must do. Forget this. My country, my home, my car, my dog. Forget all this. It's nonsense. The time of death, where is it? It's taken away. It's taken away. And then it goes to, then your possessions go to court, probate court, and a judge decides which one of your family is going to get this, that, and the other thing, while everybody is fighting. Oh, I loved Grandma more, so I get the color TV. No, I love her more. She loved me more. In 30 years in the funeral business, I saw plenty of families go through that right when Grandma had just left her body. They're fighting over. They're not crying and weeping that Grandma has left, the matriarch of the family has left. They're sitting there fighting over who gets her stereo, who gets her TV. Almost like a scene out of Dickens' A Christmas Carol, when Scrooge supposedly died and people are fighting over who gets what. We must take shelter of the spiritual master. There is not one person on this planet that does not need a spiritual master. But not just any spiritual master will do. Parampara, disciplic succession. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we're the only ones who can trace our lineage back to the origin, back to Krishna. Everyone else, their sampradaya, who can say? I won't speculate on that. Unless one purifies their mind, there is no question of being free from the material condition. Those are words to ponder in today's purport. Where is our mind at? Where is our mind at? Are we still thinking about, oh, I'm here at the temple, but gee, I wonder what my friends on the outside are doing? Well, I can tell you what they're doing. They're doing nonsense. Remember nonsense? Is that what you want to go back to? No, I don't think so. We have such a great opportunity in such a short time. These bodies that we have, they don't live as long as the bodies in the yugas before us. We have short time, and so much time is remaining yet in this yuga. Roughly 420,000 years. That's not a long time, really. It's a long time when we start to think about it, because 100 years from now, no one in this room will be here. This physical form that you're in will be dead longer than it ever walked this earth. We're the spirit soul inside that body. Where's that spirit soul going to be? Is it going to be up enjoying your constitutional position in Vaikuntha? Or are you going to be regulated to being in a fly's body, flying from one disgusting thing to another, and this is how you eat? Or in a dog's body? We see people leave their fortunes to their pets. You wonder where those people, where their souls ended up. Krishna tells us, whatever state of mind we're in at the time of death, He loves us that much, He'll give us what we're thinking about. You want to eat meat? Fine. I'll give you a body next time. You can have as much meat as you want. Of course, you're going to have to eat it raw. Right? The animals are not cooking. They're not operating restaurants. You want to be addicted to posing in magazines naked? Fine, be a tree. You can stand out there naked. Of course, you're going to have to endure all the weather changes or somebody coming up and carving on you, and you have to take it. You like to eat? Fine, no problem. You can come back as a pig and eat all you want. All you want. You like to sleep? Hey, here's the body of a bear. You can sleep a couple months at a time. Krishna is so loving, he's willing to give us anything we want. But there's a price to pay for it. There's a price to pay for it. There's a price to pay for devotional life. This is tapasya. A friend of mine, I was telling him how hot it was down here. He says, "Oh, don't they have air conditioning in your ashram?" I went, "No. I'm taking this as tapasya. If this is the worst that I have to go through, then I'm truly blessed." I didn't have to go to India this year. India came to Chicago for me. Right? This is about the type of weather that is going on right now in India. Maybe a little bit hotter, if we can fathom that. Thanks, Krishna. You saved me a couple $1,000. And all that paperwork and going through customs and all the other, and bothersome, and then being on the plane packed in like cattle, and then trying to find a cab once you get out of the airport, out of customs. We need to know that the only real interest of the living entity is to get out of the nescience that causes him to endure repeated birth and death. Wake up. Wake up. This material world is a dream, and it's a bad dream, and it's time to wake up. Time to wake up and do service. 4 regs, 16 rounds. There's some service that everybody can start on. 16 rounds. It's about 2 hours. 2 hours of prayer. I ask my Christian friends, can you supplicate yourself that for 2 hours a day you are in prayer? Submitting yourself as God's servant. Oh, we can find 2 hours to blow watching the game. Oh, what are the Bulls doing? What are the Bears doing? What are the Cubs doing? What are the White Sox doing? Well, we can find time for that, can't we? We can find time for that. Let's give Krishna the due that he is to have. He is there waiting for us. For every one step we take, he takes 10 towards us. A lot of people say, well, what about free will? How come Krishna gives us free will? Why? God gives us free will. Yes, because he wants you to come freely to him. He can make us do it, but that's not love, is it? When you make somebody do something, that's not love, is it? It's when they come willingly. Willingly. And what is Krishna's last instruction in Bhagavad Gita? Just abandon all types of religion, worship me and become my devotee. And the last 2 words I love, ma sucha, do not worry. Oh, how we like to put ourselves under stress, don't we? We wonder why there's so many ulcers and heart attacks in America. Oh, we just love to be in stress. We love to be wrapped up in drama. Well, if one wants to be wrapped up in drama, then one should be wrapped up in the drama of Krishna. Look at that deity. That deity is calling you by name. You don't have to confess anything to the deity. The deity already knows. Krishna dwells within your heart. Oh, we think we're getting away with something. No one's watching. There's no one around. Yes, there is. Krishna's right here as Paramatma. He's watching and he's notating. Remember when you did this? I do. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, I taught this science once before. You were there. Oh, that's right. You don't remember. I do. God remembers everything. Our minds are so forgetful, we forgot what we did yesterday. Let us surrender ourselves to the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada is so unique. He took the time to translate books that had never, ever been seen in any language other than Sanskrit outside of India. He brought us these books. Oh yes, there was Bhagavad Gita in many different translations. But as colleges around the world and institutions of higher learning have discovered something very unique about Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So unique. Oxford, Harvard, Yale, Stanford. Folks, these are not slouch institutions of learning by any means. They are starting to finally pick up on Srila Prabhupada's books. Now, if they can do that and pick up on these books, on how great they are, surely we can take the time to go out and tell others about them. Everyone likes to be let in on a secret, right? Remember when your friends come, hey, I know a secret. Want to hear it? Here's the secret. You're not meant to be here. You're spirit soul. You look in that mirror every morning before you go to work or before you go to school. Guess what? That's not you. That's an illusion. Get out of that illusionary state. Time to get out of the dreamland and wake up. Wake up. It's time to go to work. Are there any questions? Nope. Okay. Oh, one question back there.
Thank you, Prabhu. Some people think that the soul dies with the body. How can we how can we prove to them that, as Vaishnavas, that the soul doesn't die with the body?
All one has to do is look at Shastra. Shastra is our guide. We know nothing. We have to admit to ourselves we know nothing other than what is in Shastra. Through Shastra and Guru, we can learn what the soul is. I remember when I went to Bible college, there was no real discussion of the soul other than when you die, your soul goes to heaven, supposedly, or to hell. We must study Shastra. In Shastra, we can even find out the dimensions of the soul, how big the soul is, what its constitutional position is. It's all right there in Prabhupada's books. All we have to do is take the time to read them. He took the time to translate them. We can certainly reciprocate by taking the time to read in whatever language. Thanks to the BBT, how many languages are Prabhupada's books now? Over 100. Over 100 languages. So there's no excuse. If one knows how to read, if one does not know how to read, then get somebody that knows how to read and have them read it out loud to you. It's there. It's there. We just have to have the faith and go out and do it. Does that answer your question? Before we close out, I'd just like to say hello to a few people out there going to be watching this class. Bhaktin Melinda out in Portland, Oregon. She has been a vegetarian now for 3 full weeks and is up to 8 rounds a day. Haribo. Haribo. To my friend Reverend Olaf J. Oxnavad up in Lino Lakes, Minnesota. I'll see you soon. Enough. To the people in Big Bear that are watching, Big Bear is a city up in the mountains in California, big skiing place. Haribo, thank you for watching. For those that are watching from New Dwarka, Haribo, I made it to Chicago okay. I didn't get lost on the train. And thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy Chicago's website. It's very nice. Make sure you go through it and see all the different pictures and different features that the website has. It's a wonderful site. So we'll close out today. We each know what we've got to do. We need to get our sadhana together, go out there. As I said to those who are watching in the Chicago area, Harinam tonight. We're meeting at 7. We're out of here by what time? 7:15. If you snooze, you lose. Don't be late. Don't hesitate. Bring the family. It's a family event. We'll be right over in Evanston at the War Memorial. I don't know what they call it, but I'll call it the War... Huh? Fountain Square. Fountain Square in Evanston. If you can't make it here in time, that's where you'll meet us at. Down in beautiful downtown Evanston. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Haribol. I'll try to do better next time. Well,